Welcome to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. My name is Tyler.
And I'm Nicole.
And on today's episode, we're going to do what we do best, and that's kind of talk all over the place. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is Nate. He is going to share with us a little bit about his story, what it was like, what happened, where he's at today, and so on, right? So, Nate, why don't you take us through the journey, man?
Alrighty, cool. Well, my name is Nate, and today I am 28. And, my childhood was pretty cool. Everything was, I'll say this, really something cool about me. I was born on the freeway in the ambulance truck. Didn't cry. They thought I was dead.
Fun fact.
Yeah, right, and they ended up squeezing my foot. It was a whole debacle. My grandma screamed. The EMTs didn't even know what they were doing. My mom was the only one that was calm at 17, 18, first child.
On the highway?
Yeah, on the freeway. She didn't even have a name for me yet. She was just like, it is what it is. So she named me Nathaniel when we got to the hospital, I believe, or a day later, she named me Nathaniel. And, like I was saying, childhood was great. Because I was a single child, I had everything I could ever want. My mom was doing good. Grandma had a good job. She worked for the IRS. And she actually hated her job because of how invasive she had to be.
I would hate it too.
And, but she made great money. She had to maintain the bills and things of that nature. And then, let's see, great life until my mom in the background started doing some things that I didn't know because I was a kid. And I think around 6 or 7 too, my mom, grandma, rocky relationship. So my mom would leave and she was just with her friends and piggybacked me along because I was her kid. And I guess she just needed some money. And someone talked her into cashing some bad checks. And this woman had a plethora of girls that she had been doing this to. And my mom.
And mom's young, too, at this time, right?
I want to say she was 22, 23. And, that doesn't make any sense then. She was maybe 24. I don't know. She was young. Young.
Yeah, she was young.
Regardless, young.
She had you young. It was a young situation.
It was just very young. And
babies having babies.
Basically. And so, one day my mom and I were minding our own business and I was sitting in the front seat as a kid, not in the car seat. We just ran around the corner to go to the gas station. And I was
90s
just sitting.
were interesting.
Very, velvet seats and everything. The whole middle seat. Yeah, I miss those times. And just chilling, minding my business. And her friend or whatever went into the store. Then the cops pulled in behind us. And they had ran the tags, came up, asked my mom for, license registration, saw that she had a warrant out for her arrest, ending up getting arrested. And I'm trying to figure out, what the heck is going on? Friends coming back out. They're not, the cops aren't saying anything to me. They're keeping my mom in the car. And I'm just like, where's my mom? What's going on? This and that.
You're 6 or 7.
Yeah. And I'm just
So you remember this very vividly.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
It's important to say that too, for our listeners, because we do have a lot of people that listen to us that, backgrounds are not always the best. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we talk about is, when you're doing these things, you're putting your child's life in jeopardy. It's not that you don't care about your kids. It's that your own addictions are creeping up so much so that you're putting your child's life in this danger. And everybody always argues, well, no. And I always say,
it's a ripple effect.
When the cops come, right, or when these situations happen, they're going to remember, right? And it's going to stay with them. So here you are,
Yeah.
right, talking about a situation. You're, 28 now?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a situation at 7 that you still vividly remember with your mom, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to point that out so that the listener can understand that.
Yeah. Till this day, like, it's something that I would think that I would have, like, put to the back burner and just, forgot. But no, that moment, I remember that shit like it's yesterday. Like, I remember everything.
So what happened after the police took mom? What happened with you?
Then, well, they did give me a chance at the end to say goodbye to my mom. I gave her a kiss.
That was nice. Wasn't PA cops.
No, we were in Florida.
Did you really even understand, like, why you were going to give her a kiss and say goodbye? Like, did you?
No, like, I just knew that. All I knew is that she was going away from me. And I feel like at that time, too, I partly understood the concept of, like, cops and whatnot. Like, I didn't, like, I knew if you did something bad, you'd go away, but I didn't know. Like,
there was no real drama up until then.
I didn't know. She kept it away from me, obviously. So, I appreciate that. But at the same time, girlie, you were still out there doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing. But, said goodbye, gave her a kiss. And then my mom's friend ended up driving me back to where she lived. And then I ended up going back to my grandma's. Grandma was taking care of me for a while. And that time period, I feel like I definitely blocked out because it was just like, my mom's not here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to school, just trying to go through life.
Basically just going through emotions.
Yeah, I miss my mom. I'm trying to just, doing what kids do, going to play and stuff like that. But still just wondering, like, where's my mom? I'd write letters and stuff like that. And
Did it create anger? Were you angry towards others? Like, because I know, like, when you're young, right?
Right.
Not understanding everything, watching other kids where it's like, they have their mom, they have their dad or whatever, and you're kind of falling back like, what the fuck is mine?
Surprisingly, I never felt like that.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I'll say. It was like more so the sadness took over anything. It was like, I didn't care what she did. I just wanted her back.
You're just kind of homesick in your own home.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And, time goes on. I don't know how long she was gone. I don't think she was gone long, but it felt very long. Sure. I want to say it was 2 grade periods, possibly.
So like maybe 6 months.
Maybe.
Well, it's hard too because you're in a state of depression.
Yeah,
right.
Like you're
a kid.
Hard.
Yeah, you're a kid. You're
how
in
much time of perception do you really have?
Listen, honestly,
a week feels like a year.
Yeah. And I just couldn't. It did. It felt like a long time. I still. I haven't asked her. Like, I know what she, like, obviously I know it's not, but I never asked her, like, the time periods because it just never mattered to me. But I remember one day, I was coming home from school. My grandma was just really giddy, really excited. I'm just like, all right, it's just another day. And we're pulling down the road and we're pulling up to our driveway. And I see this, like, weird SUV in our driveway. And I'm like, who the hell is this? Probably one of my grandma's fishing buddies, whoever it may be. I didn't think anything of it. And then, like, I see this lady in the backyard walking this dog. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here today? Because, like, shit's just not adding up. I don't understand what this is. And, like, my grandma, she's just still, like, behind me. We're walking up the stairs to go in the house. Go in the house, look to the right, and my mom's standing right in the kitchen. And all the fucking air left my lungs. And I just let out the biggest gasp and ran and just caved into her. Just stood there and just was like, oh my gosh, she's here. She's back.
And when that happened, no longer any of the bullshit that happened in the past mattered, right?
It really didn't. It was just like, holy shit, Batman. She's here. She's here.
I get asked this question a lot in social work, right? When I worked as social work, because everybody would always say, well, isn't it better for the child if the parent's not around, if the parent's doing these things, and what the parents are doing these awful stuff? And like my response is always, it doesn't matter because to a child, what's that movie? The Crow, right? He says it best in the movie. He's like, mom is, how's he say that? Mom is he says mom is God on the lips of a child, right? So like you think of your mother as God, no matter how much bullshit she goes through, whatever it is, still your mom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you hugged her, it felt the world is back in place.
Literally,
right?
everything was back in place.
Was it?
Was it? Because the story goes on. Literally after that, I asked her. I was like, I saw her like paper bag of all of her belongings and whatnot. And I was like, so are you back? And then she was like, yeah, man, I'm back. Blah blah blah. And things were great, truly, honestly. From then, she would go on my field trips. We were going places. It was just like, we were getting back in the swing of things, and she'd try to make up for lost time and whatnot. And then, she's working, getting her life back in order. Fast forward to when she met my brother's dad, Stefano, that motherfucker. To this day, we do not like him.
I can hear the resentments in your voice.
That man, and I do not like to throw hate out there. I really am not a person that throws hate out there, but this man, a vile man, ever since and I have a good intuition. I'm very spiritual, and I'm one with the energies and the signs and everything like that. And ever since I was a kid, I knew when I looked this man in the eyes, I was like, I don't fucking like you. I don't like you. You're not good for my mom. Fuck you. There's something about you I don't like. And
how'd she meet him?
I think she met him through a mutual friend. So we lived in a trailer park. It is not your typical trailer park because it was set up like a cul-de-sac. Truly.
Sure.
Honestly.
So you're down south.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we lived here, and then they lived diagonal from us. And I guess she worked with the nephew of my brother's dad. Well, no, the nephew's girlfriend of my brother's dad. And that's how they met. And, when I met him, short fuck, I knew from there. Now, I don't have anything against short kings. Short kings are short kings. But this one, he's not.
Not a king.
He definitely, I knew he didn't like me and the relationship that my mom and I had. We were very close. My mom and I are very close. And I feel like he was trying to draw
you're her
away.
child.
You know what I'm saying?
Was that you think it was a jealousy thing? He was jealous of how close you were able to be?
Interesting.
And so the type of person I am, when you show me that type of weakness, I'm going to exploit it. And so I'm not a disrespectful person. I respect people and things of that nature. But as a kid, I understood respect is given. It's equal. It's an equal street. Doesn't matter who you are. Child, adult, children, regardless.
Absolutely.
We just talked about that.
I don't give a fuck. My grandmother and my mom taught me that, and it was kind of like their double-edged sword because when it came to them too, I used the same, come on now, you taught me this. It was what you taught me. So
what happened with this weirdo?
Yes. So, he just would...
Stefano.
Yes, he would try to, tell me things.
How big of a weirdo was he?
Yeah. It was just so weird. The look in his eye, just... I don't know what it was. It was just...
Dead inside?
I won't even say. It was it was a little bit of life in there, but he was just, apathetic. Honestly, he didn't give a fuck about anybody else.
Apathetic?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Apathetic.
Yeah.
Very just that. And, got my mom pregnant. And then that's where everything switched. I would just cuss this man out blatantly. You're not my fucking dad. Leave me the fuck alone. Don't talk to me like that.
He was trying to control you, or he was trying to...
nature. And some of
Or
these
was
things...
it because he was trying to give you stability?
No.
Because, I know, for myself, my stepdad, when he first came in,
and I
was like, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? I'm going to fight him. And then I'm later in life, I look back and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
My stepdad was actually trying to give me stability.
And I would give him that. I would give him that if it was trying to be, giving me, that backbone and just trying to support me. But no, even as I look back now, as an adult, you were just trying to draw a wedge between me and my mom. And... you deserved me cussing you out all those times. So, he got my mom pregnant, and that's when everything switched. Because my mom, she was a whore. He's not the father. Somebody else is. I wasn't the one, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, literally, where have you been? What delusion are you living in?
So he's so insecure about your relationship with your mom that he had to create his own child to get the same relationship, but then when that wasn't achieved, it was all her fault for being a whore.
It sounds like it didn't even bother, right? Because it sounds like the moment she got pregnant,
she was a whore.
Who the fuck is this kid?
Right.
Yeah.
So, how did your mom feel, during this whole time? Was she communicating with you? I know you don't like him, but...
Yes. Okay. My mom also... I also feel like I grew up early. This is also the time when my brother was born.
You absolutely did.
Sure.
And my mom would tell me, so my mom and my grandma still have a rocky relationship. There was an account where my grandmother's husband actually tried to kill my mom. If it wasn't for my mom's best friend, she would not be here today. He had this fucking fishing knife. This is so crazy how things are coming back.
What is in the water in Florida?
This is how therapy works, man.
Talk
therapy when you start talking shit just starts coming out, right?
So yeah.
Florida's a different country.
I'm trying to remember if I was it's so vivid because it's I don't remember if my mom told me this or if I was in the doorway when this was happening. But my grandma, love her to death, she's changed from the years to a degree. She's older, so she's stuck in her ways, but she has realized some things. She's taking accountability.
And she's Southern.
Yeah. Well, actually, the only true Southerner is me. My mom and my grandma are from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So
which is how you ended up back here.
Yeah, my mom.
'Cause that makes a difference.
My grandma moved down to Florida because of her husband that she was, with or whatever. So she went down for a man and dragged her children down. So there's a whole cycle of.
Yeah, she's from the South. Right? But there's a big difference of I try to explain people because growing up, the older people in North Carolina that I would meet, right? When anytime I was down there, I remember the older people down there, they're different, right?
They are. I will say my mom would.
You're different in the South than what you are up here. Up here, everybody's rude as shit, right? They are. PA people are just rude, and it's
everybody's a jag off.
Yeah, everybody's a jackwagon and this, that, and the third, right? Down south, it's
wash your mouth out.
Everybody's, come on, it's time for dinner. Let's eat. We could argue and fight, but man, it's 5 o'clock. We're all about to eat, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna eat good too. Make the collard greens, but
15 people at one table.
I love a good collard green.
For real, right? At a picnic table, but. Yeah. Neither here nor there, right? But that does make a difference, right?
It does.
Your grandmother being an old Southern woman, that makes a difference.
Yeah,
right?
I could say that because the transition from her Northern to Southern, she's very much Southern bred at this point now. My mom even says she's
down in the Geechee country.
Yeah, my mom even says now she's not from. She doesn't feel like Pennsylvania is home to her anymore.
Sure.
Florida was essentially her home. But one night, my mom and Walter were in arguing, and he was you got to get out, blah blah blah. My grandma's just not defending my mom whatsoever, just saying that my mom's being rude, and it's just okay, well, in any situation, I feel like I'm going to defend my kids over a man. I don't give a fuck. I made them.
But that's what you've learned from your experience, not what had been mirrored to you.
True. Yes.
Right.
That is very so true. And I do put myself in those situations, and I'm well, at that time, that's the mindset my grandmother was in, or at that time, that's the mindset my mom was in. But it's not
generationally, there's a lot of problems there, sure.
And that's very good that you do that, right? I commend you for doing that because a lot of people can't, right? One of the things that we try to teach people in the mental health world, and I'm sure you guys too, because you guys both work in a mental health unit. That's one of the things you try to do, right? Especially in trauma-related events is, let's put ourselves in the other person's shoes. Yeah. How would you have reacted? Is your reaction similar? Yeah. Right?
Right.
Or what? How would you react? So that's a big thing we try to teach people, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're going all over the place.
He's doing a good job of
It's
keeping
okay,
us on
'cause
track.
Yeah, you're keeping us on track. We're really.
I remember.
We both have ADHD, so like we're like, you know, shiny squirrel, like boom, you know what I mean? A thought happens, and we're like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean?
We're
Something
actually
shiny.
Let's cancel this podcast. Let's create a new one. We'll call it Between Two Squirrels.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love that.
So,
I love that. But yeah.
but
No,
anyway,
I
right?
got us. It's okay. I got us. I knew I was going to be the buffer. I got
All right,
us. It's
all right.
okay.
Take us.
knows me.
Take us back to
Very nice.
let's go back into the
Yeah.
to the story, right?
So,
So Walter's gonna kill your mom.
Yeah, it got real heated to the point where he got his fishing knife, and my mom had her back turned at this point, going into the car, and if her friend Nikki wasn't there to like, you know, deflect the blade, and she got fucked up, and you know, if she wasn't there to, you know, take the blunt of it, and my mom would have got stabbed right in the back. And
What do you
Lord
think
knows
it was
the fuck
over?
happened.
Money, anger, revenge, like what?
You know,
you'll never know.
honestly,
Right?
You
Like,
know?
we'll never
and,
know.
and that's what I was about
You
to
were like,
say
what?
too.
That's like a loaded question.
Yeah, that's
we'll
fair.
never know.
I don't feel like we'll ever know, but I will say this about Walter. He was a very, another one like Stefano.
Oh, okay.
Wanted
Okay.
to draw a wedge between the family, wanted my grandma to herself. I just found out in my adult years that he was abusing my grandmother. I didn't know that she was getting fucked up by this man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was going through all these things. She hid it well.
Unfortunately, that happens
know?
a lot. That's how we
Yeah.
started off this whole podcast, was with an episode like that, right?
Yeah.
So here's the important thing, though, right? Is your brother's being born, right?
To Stefano.
yeah.
Boom. Where are you at mentally?
Okay.
Because this is playing. Because when the very first question I said to you is, where do you want to start? And it was when my fucking brother was born, right? So obviously,
Honestly.
It
this
sounded
was
so
a
bad when I
this is a crucial point in your life. Is
I'm
brother
just
being
wondering,
born.
like, my question is did you realize your mom was pregnant? Like, did you watch her belly grow?
Yep.
And were you
I was
like,
gonna
oh,
say-
shit?
But this is what. Okay, so we're gonna have the talk. My mom, my grandma both sat me down and were like, "We're gonna have a brother or a baby is gonna come into the world, and you might feel these feelings of jealousy, blah blah." blah. And I was just like, "I'm probably not because I'm 10. You know, I got to live some of my life and you know take care of the baby. I'm fully functional. I'm fully good." They're like, "No, you're not gonna feel like that once the baby's here." I'm like, "Dude, no, fuck out of here. I have imaginary friends. I have my toys and games.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm good. I'm set, you know?
You've adjusted
I'm
well.
well. I can
Yeah.
make a little cereal myself. I can make some pancakes if I want to. I'm
Yeah.
fine, you know? That's what it was. But
life changed.
and the story was, it wasn't that bad, but my mom's pregnancy was very rough. Because of Stefano and the drama and Christy and everybody. So, like, my mom had to deal with them living right here, and they were trying to fight my mom
Because your mom wasn't with Stefano anymore?
because they were trying to say that my mom was sleeping with other people.
Oh,
that
right.
The baby wasn't Stefano's. So they
Sure.
were just all on this hate train. And my mom, I remember one day we were picking up my grandma from the bus stop at the front of the cul-de-sac, and then we went back home, and as we were riding back home, Christy and her sister were like walking past us to go to their house. And
Who's
we were-
Christy? I'm sorry.
Okay, so Christy is the nephew of Stefano. That's the boyfriend, girlfriend. That's how my mom met Stefano.
right.
The
Okay.
front.
Yes. So, you know, she's walking past and we're riding by, and my grandma, she's fucking like 4'9". Like,
She's a small
she's
woman.
a small woman, but she's got fury. We were literally not even parked. The car's still moving. She jumps out of this car, rolls up on this woman who was like 5'10", and puts her in a straight chokehold. In her nice trench coat, like I
love
said,
Grandma.
she works at the IRS.
I wanna
She
meet
just
Grandma.
got off work. She had a nice little bow in her hair. Like everything. It just pissed her off because she was laughing at my mom as we rode by. And after, like, my mom has to get out of the car. She's like, Mom. My mom has a belly. I'm in the back seat. Like, holy fuck, what's happening? My grandma, my mom gets my grandma. They come back over. My grandma goes inside, changes her clothes, puts her hair in a bun. She has some green stirrup pants on.
Grandma,
She got her sandal in her hand, and she ready.
She got her sneakers on, and she said she grabbed my mom's keys and was like, you know, they're like, "What are you doing with the keys?" Okay. Whoop, 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 whoop. My mom took me to our neighbor's house.
Because she knew that shit was going down in the neighborhood.
And there are gay neighbors, Kenny and Michael. Love them to death. R.I.P. to Kenny. He died just recently. Love him. He was a great man. They took me over there, and then their dog Angela, who was a Chihuahua, she was a fucking bitch.
They all are.
To death. That was my girl. R.I.P. to her. She was great, but she was the one that watched me. She watched me as I sat on the fucking couch.
Yeah.
The Chihuahua?
Yes, the Chihuahua.
Oh, the Chihuahua probably wouldn't have let it move.
Jeez, I'm like,
The Chihuahua Angela supervised me while Kenny and Michael went with my mom to try to defuse the situation. So I'm sitting on the couch like, Angela, please don't fuck with me. So I'm like literally up on the couch. And so
it'll bite you.
I look out the window. My mom, grandma, and Kenny and Michael are out there trying to defuse the situation. My grandma comes out. It's funny, right? Yeah. It's fucking.
I'm just picturing this little dog.
She is, and she was watching me on. And if I moved, she would fucking growl.
Have you not met
There's
It's just the way that we
it's real life.
It's just the way we casually did.
He would have rather been in the street.
So no, I get that. It was just a casual,
real
like
life.
you know, like yeah, like you know,
And
the
that's
dog,
how I
like,
really
the dog
have
is
in real
watching
life.
me, like it's supervising me as I'm on the couch. Like it was just funny. Like
But not that the adults stand a chance in his life, but this 2-pound dog.
Angela, she was that girl. She was that girl, dude. No, you're good because it is funny how I just was like,
yeah. It was like you know,
that's how I
dog
talk about
supervising me. You know,
life.
I was making pancakes and the dog was supervising.
But yeah,
Staying in my lane.
All right.
so I'm like looking out the window. I see my grandma barge out with my mom's keys. My mom's like, "You don't know how to drive this car."
Oh, God.
It was a 5-speed at the time. And my grandma was like, "I know how to ram this bitch into a house." You know, I know that. About my daughter, yes, I know what the fuck I'm doing. So they get the keys from her. She goes inside, comes out with a butcher knife. They take that from her. She puts it on the car. And she goes over there and she's like, "Come outside, bitch. Come outside. You want to talk, you want to laugh, and you want to talk all this shit? Come outside."
Yeah.
She ripped out their ACs out of their window, threw their fucking barbecue, their grill all over the place, banging on their door like, "Come outside," you know? And I'm sitting in the house just like, wow, this is really happening in front of my eyes. Cops come, everything. So I sit back down away from the window and I'm just trying to watch Judge Judy. That's so crazy. I remember all these things. Like as I'm moving to, Angela's growling at me and I'm just like, dude, I'm not going anywhere. I'm
will
sitting
watch
here.
the Judge Judy and I
Like,
will behave.
I'm just here, you know, I'm existing. So like
Getting
15
prepped
minutes
for
later,
grandma to be on Judge Judy.
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to prepare myself for the worst.
How old are we again?
10.
Okay, we're at 10.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
still 10.
All right.
So like 15 minutes later, my mom comes over. First thing I say, "Is my grandma in jail?" And she was like, she laughed. And I'm like, "No, please stop laughing."
I'm so serious. Is grandma in jail?
She's like, "No, everything is fine. Police were able to defuse the situation. No charges were held against my grandma or anything." And, you know, things were, from then on, like, they didn't want to bother us because my grandma's about that action. And it's always been like that. My grandma.
Crystal.
Grandma's about that action.
I'm not messing with grandma.
She's taking them
so-
on the neighborhood.
Yeah. And also at this time, too, I forgot to mention that my mom is on probation. Because, you know, after she had gotten out of jail or whatever, she's on probation now.
Right.
And my grandma made a decision to uproot us and move to California. And that was like the whole crazy situation because we had to leave my mom, being that she was still on probation, and she was also still pregnant with my brother. And we were driving cross country.
So now you're a 10-year-old boy losing his mom again and going to Cali. What part of Cali?
San Diego.
Did grandma do
San
that because she was
Diego.
like trying to protect you from the drama? Or like
It
what
was more
the...
so, let's see. It was a defy. Like, honestly, I don't even fucking know why. Because we owned our trailer.
Sounds like a little bit of everything.
We didn't have to, like, do much of anything. And, like, my grandmother's sister, lived over there. My great aunt lived over there, and she was an RN. She was making great money, and I guess she just wanted to change the scenery, wanted to change up life, and just like, all right, we're selling the trailer, we're going across country, we're doing it.
Who'd your mom live with at the time?
She lived with some friends, a friend, Rebecca, that she worked with.
Oh, okay.
Great lady, Southern woman to a T. Beer in the right hand, cigarette in the left hand.
Virginia Slim, probably.
She had that nice
nonetheless.
little bouffant hair.
Love
like,
that.
I loved her. She was such a great woman. Rebecca was... Shout out to Rebecca.
Your mom's being taken care of by her friend,
Yes.
but she has lost you and
Yes.
her other support, which is your grandma, and you guys are now with Auntie
Yes.
in California.
And during this time, my mom had my brother premature.
Oh, no.
3 months early. 3 months early. And she wasn't even sure about his situation. And she was on the phone with my grandma, actually. And I remember this like yesterday. She was on the phone with my grandma. And my grandma wakes me up at like 6:43. And she was like, your mom had the baby. Your mom had the baby. And I'm like, what?
Let me go.
Like, you're just waking me up.
Woohoo!
And I'm like, wait, she had the baby. It's a little bit early, you know? And he was see-through. He didn't even have nipples developed yet. He had to be in the NICU for a very long time. And, you know, it was like another situation for me. I'm just going through the motions of, you know, living.
Yeah.
Because my mom's not here.
Right.
And it was just a very weird situation. Now, I don't know if it was before my mom came or after my mom came when the molestation started happening. Because...
To you.
Yes, the time periods are all like fuzzy there.
Of course.
Because it just was like...
A lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on here, right?
Yeah.
Like
It takes a lot of time.
Mom's
There's grooming
gone.
in that.
Well, not only
And
that,
he's
like
going
there's a
through
lot of
stuff.
stuff. Like mom's gone again, the brother situation, and I imagine that's confusing too, right? Like you got this brother, but you're not sure if you have this brother,
Yeah.
like because you're young, you don't really fully understand what the NIC unit really is,
Right.
Right.
And then on top of that, understanding like, do I even want this brother, right? Because
Right.
like it's kind of like, is
Did you
this mean
feel-
this guy's coming, gonna stay involved? So you're dealing with a lot of trauma, right?
Yeah.
And then
I want to know if like you felt a connection, like even to yourself, to anybody during that time. Were you like just kind of so absent or empty that like were you able to connect to things?
You know, thinking back on it, like, I think that I used my imagination to not even be.
Sure.
Still to this day, I have a very vivid imagination. My grandma was like, you're going to lose it one day, so take care of it. And I'm like, I don't think I'll ever lose my imagination. So I was like, always
it's a
playing with my
defense
friends.
mechanism.
Yeah.
It's what held you together
Yeah.
during those times, right? So now we'll go into the hard subject,
Yeah. So now you're 12.
the molestation.
Yeah, I'll say, okay, so before then, I was going to say this to you. My mom was able to get off of probation early.
Okay.
Nice.
And one day, as I was getting off of school, you know, it's just a regular old day, and someone familiar popped their face out of the passenger window, and it was my mom. And I was just like, you know, it was like another feeling of like, holy shit, you know, life's here again, blah, blah, blah. And then I get in the car and I don't see the baby, and I'm like, well, where's the baby? And she's like, well, I left him in Florida. And I was just like, I was bummed out. I was just like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? You left the baby?
Holy.
You left the baby?
What a strange turn of
Oh,
events.
shit. So,
Tyler does this often. Well,
and so, like,
I have an obsession with playing with
Yeah.
this mic. You guys listening to this are probably watching us like, dude, leave the damn microphone.
I just
and
want to
on.
say I
feel
haven't
want it
touched
back.
it.
I just like,
Yeah.
want it
I
back
do
for
it all the
security.
time.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
I get
And so we
I
get to the
try not to.
house, and I walk into the door, and then my grandma is playing with this little baby on the bed, and I was like, Mom, you ain't shit, you know, in my mind. And then
Oh my God, you
I
got
was
me.
really, like, right, you got me, oh my gosh, you know. And for the first moment, though, I was really excited. I was like, there's a little baby here.
Yeah.
Like, I still, obviously, I was like, I never had any, like, animosity about being a little baby here. Like, I was just like, holy shit, there's this little guy, you know? You're
Innocent.
existing. And then, like, our first interaction was really funny because I picked him up. He looked at me. I held him up like this. We were looking at each other. He started crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's trying to eat me. Hit the baby. We all laughed. And it was a good time. It really was. And I really embraced being a big brother. I was helping my mom feed him. I was just there with him.
You guys have a good relationship now?
I got into an argument with his fucking ass not too long ago.
But are you guys close?
We are close.
I fight with my brother.
Yeah,
all the
we
time,
are
but-
very close.
Okay.
He has, like me, you know, we both got mental health issues, and I'm trying to get him to understand, like, he's not the only one in life, and I'm trying to get him to realize, like, I'm right there with you. I try to level with him, and he thinks I don't understand. I'm like, dude,
He's young yet.
I get it. Yeah, he's 18, so I
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, from like things were great, things were good until, you know, someone relatively close decided to just shatter my whole world, and it was just something that was made to be so normal, something just so like it was supposed to be, you know, and
This
like,
was a relative.
yeah.
So after the first time that it happened, did you tell anyone?
Nope, and I still haven't told anybody to this day. Well, I told my friends, obviously. I've told
Well,
my
now
friends.
you're telling the world of YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
I am.
But okay, so that's important, right? Is because one of two things either happen, right? We either tell somebody, and then we're told that it's not real, right? And we
You
fall
know-
back on it, or you don't tell anybody because of fear from the other person.
I'm not. I'm afraid of what my mom will do.
That's fair.
I'm not afraid of what people will think or tell me that it didn't happen. Till this day, I'm afraid what my mom will do because I know she will kill him. She will kill him.
Yeah.
Yes, and I
mean, that's
I
fair.
won't
I would
say
do the same.
anything because I know.
I mean,
But at the same time, I've thought about this, and John has talked to me about it too. He's like, you need to really just sit down with your mom and talk to her about it. Luckily, I will say, none of my siblings have been around this man without supervision or alone or any of that nature. And
Yeah.
I've always just been like,
How did you end up?
unfortunately, though, maybe there might be other kids out there,
Yeah.
right?
Sadly.
That this
Yeah.
piece of shit has touched,
yeah,
right?
you know. And I always feel guilty because I'm like,
well, don't
I
be guilty.
should say something, you know, because what if there are other children?
Right.
Sure, and
know.
there probably is, right?
Don't feel guilty about
But
that.
don't be
own
guilty
that.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, unfortunately, after it happened, you started being conditioned to not, right?
Yeah.
And I mean,
I
these
remember,
sick fucks, that's what they do, right?
yeah.
I know Nicole hates it when I talk like this, because we're gonna get banned
I don't hate
from
it.
YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I
right?
do get worried about the filtering from YouTube, but no, I don't hate when we talk. You know, like because he's right. Like, listen, like if I had ever, I don't care if the boys or any of the girls or whatever are 98. If they tell me something like that, and if that person is still available to not be on the earth anymore, I might help him with that or them or whatever. I couldn't say like put in that situation. I wouldn't, you know, because that's pretty serious. But in other settings, I just don't threaten violence. That's all.
I don't, but if anybody wants to commit violence against these people, I'm not gonna say
eye for an
otherwise.
eye
But
for
that's
an eye.
neither here nor there, right? We don't promote violence. Please don't hurt nobody. We don't want anybody hurt or harmed in the process of making these videos. Right? Clarity statement. Right?
We have a disclaimer.
Yeah. We are not promoting violence. We are promoting the healing of mental health
Yeah.
and the healing of trauma, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
But you're going through a traumatic event, right? So as this is happening, go ahead and go from there.
And it's
I don't
like,
want to go off subject.
You're good. It's also too in the back of my mind. This happened to my mom. someone that was relatively close as well. And it's something that she vowed that she would protect us from. And it's also another reason why I'm like, I don't want her to feel shame because it wasn't your fault. Because there's just some things that we can't control. And there was ways I was trying to tell her in a very cryptic way. Like she just couldn't understand it. And I didn't know how to just blatantly be like, this happened to me, you know? And it was just very hard. It was just very hard for her, or not even for her, but for me to try to get the message across. And when she just couldn't understand my cryptic ways, I was just like, let's just dead it. You know? And then like as life went on and she would just talk to me about like sexual assault and if it would have to happen to her kids and like things of that nature, she's going to kill them. And my mom she's already off, I don't want to just say off her bonkers, but she is, you know, we're all a little mad here, you know?
They make different size hats.
Yeah, you know, and
Maybe mom can come on the show and we'll talk to her.
I believe everything my mom has said to me, and she's been in altercations too, but she has blatantly told people, I'll fucking kill you. So please don't mess with me. Please, because she has too much going on. My mom, she's legally blind. She has only tunnel vision. She has all these ailments. She has to get double knee replacement. She's 45. She's mentally beat up. But even she, in these last several months, have been able to pull herself out of the mud and has been trying to like change her way of thinking. And she's taking her meds. She stopped going to therapy just recently because she was able, or even her therapist was telling her she's able to see a dramatic change.
That's great.
So I'm proud of her.
That's awesome.
And we've been proud, you know. But back to this, and you know, after the first time,
That's important,
Yes.
right? Let's not downcredit that.
not
right?
no, not at all. This
I
is
want
very
people
important.
to understand, like,
Amen.
although self-growth is a lifelong journey, therapy is not, right? And like, because people will always say, well, I gotta go to therapy the rest of my life, I don't want to do this.
You
And you don't. You go to therapy until you can finally get through the traumatic events.
Yeah.
And then your therapist is gonna say, spread your wings and fly, man. Like, you're
Exactly.
good. You don't need me no more. Go do your
Exactly.
thing. So
Yeah.
like, I'm very proud of mom. That's awesome,
Yeah.
right? All right.
Yeah.
All right, go.
But yeah, but after the first time, it was just like it would happen. It would happen more often, and then it just became a routine. And then it was just so weird too because I remember the first time, it was like I tasted the fucking condom. Like I could taste the latex of the condom and how bad it hurt. It was just insane. Obviously, you're fucking stretching an orifice, a muscle at that, you know. And for a long time, I used to blame myself. You know, because that's what you feel like. You know, you feel just like I brought this on myself. I let him take advantage of me. And then after a while, and like truly understanding and being around mental health and not just working in it, but just learning about it, you know, I was like, oh, that motherfucker knew. That motherfucker knew. And you knew exactly
It's definitely
what the fuck
not your
you're
fault,
doing.
man. Like,
Right,
you're a
exactly.
kid.
And I was a kid. I'm
Like,
a fucking kid, dude.
You know, it's funny because like we think that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a child and I should know better, and like you don't. Like, it don't matter how old you are. Like, you know, you might not know better. Like, you don't know how to protect yourself, and like it's confusing and it's very what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? And like it's very confusing, right?
And also, it fucked up my perception of love too.
Right.
It really did because it was just
We're
like,
going there.
And I'm sure it fucked up your perception of family.
yeah, like it fucked up my perception of love as far as like, this is what,
And men in general.
this is what it was supposed to be, you know? And then, and it also made me feel like too, like, it made me miss out on opportunities with women as well. Because I love women as well as men. I just always say I just so happen to marry a man. John is so much for my bisexuality. It's so awesome. But yeah, it really fucked me up for a long time because it was just like I romanticized my abuse. And I thought that was love. And I thought that's what was supposed to happen and things of that nature. And he got a girlfriend after a while, and then like the abuse stopped. And then on his 18th birthday, I got so mad at him one day.
So wait, hold on. Time out.
Yeah.
So he was a child.
Yeah.
Just a few years older
17.
than you.
So
Yeah.
So
okay,
you were 12 and he
so-
was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, who did it to him?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right? Because like kids, so
There's a large demographic.
so now I feel bad, right? Because the kid's not a piece of shit, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, after he
Maybe
turned
now.
18,
See how I get
I was
you?
going to
Maybe
say,
not.
but
No,
after he
but
turns
your-
18,
Your
you know?
opinion's wrong, right? I don't agree with your opinion because like I understand what.
Do I think he's a piece of shit for doing that to Nate? Yes, absolutely. But who did that to him?
Right. That's what I want to know is like who did that to him,
Right?
right?
Because he might have thought
So,
that was normal.
but-
He might have thought that, you know.
I'm with you on your concept of that shit, but when we're talking about adults doing this to children,
Yeah, no, that's a
I'm
different
not with
story.
you at all. They can't be cured. They're not gonna be cured.
I
And
don't think that there's.
So-
I don't think that a cure. That's a different episode. That's not a thing. I don't
That's-
think a cure is a thing.
38 is a cure, but right.
You see our disclaimer?
So yeah, we're gonna put a disclaimer on this episode. But this is a child doing this to another child, right?
Yeah.
So now the bigger question are who did this to this child because he's mimicking what was done to him, right? Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
there's
there
a
really
lot
is.
going on. Right?
Yeah.
A lot going
We'll
on.
have a
right?
family
Yeah.
reunion Nate show
So-
in the future, honestly.
So I can understand your hatred and your confusion, right?
Right.
Because it is confusion. It's
Peak puberty.
here's a child, here's another kid, roughly my age.
Mhm.
Like, is this what? Like, I can understand the confusion, right? Because it is very confusing. So okay. So the abuse stopped.
So you guys got a little older.
I want to say it happened once more after he was 18. Once more. And then that was it. But he wanted me to fuck him this time, which was very oddly strange for me.
He was like trying to build a legitimate, intimate relationship.
Like, it was very weird for me. But I will say, like, because at that point, because on his 18th birthday, I was so enraged at one point that I was just like, I'll punch you right in your face. And he was like, no, you won't. And I did 3 fucking times. And I fucking rocked his jaw 3 fucking times at 13. And he slapped me in my face 3 times because I punched him in the face 3 times. But I feel like at that point, I got my strength back. And I was just like, yeah, no more. Of course, I ran off and cried in the bathroom. And I was like, But, like,
But you stood up for yourself.
Yeah, I was like, I got my strength back. And I felt like I could just do it in life. And then, yeah, like after that, that's when another, molestation would happen, I guess you would say. But it was me to him. Like, that's how I'm just saying. It's like really confusing. But then after that,
Well, that's coaxing you into doing things that you don't want. So
Yeah,
it's just
so-
manipulating and abusing you.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
after that, it was just pretty much it was it. And then there was just family drama at that point. Like, my aunt and my grandma got into it, and there was just like fighting, interpersonal fighting, like almost physical. Actually, it was physical at that point. And my mom, grandma, everybody, it was just fighting. We moved from hotel to hotel, trying to survive on my grandma's bond checks, and we were living in the car
In California.
in California. So
That's a rough life.
yeah, I was gonna say it's really expensive out there.
It's more expensive to live in a car in California than it is to live in our town here.
It was very hard, and at one point we ended up going back. My mom didn't want to go back, so she tried to rough it out in the car for a few more nights, and I tried to like power through it with her, and she was just like, no, just go back to the house and I'll just do this, blah blah, it's fine. And I went back, and I just felt like I don't want to be here. My little brother and I were there with my grandma and aunt and things of that nature. And I was just like, dude, I don't want to be here without my mom, you know? And then they allowed my mom to come back. Then shortly after, I remember us moving again. My mom was just like, fuck it. My mom and I, we moved to Virginia with a male friend of my mom's, who I found out was her sugar daddy, but she wasn't giving no sugar. She had a good setup there. But he was a good man. He taught me like guitar things. Like he was not like a creep, I will say.
Okay.
Jose was a great man. He was a good man to my mom. He took care of us. Never once did he ever like do anything with my mom in a very negative way.
That's good.
Slept in the living room. We slept in the room. Never. Yeah.
You just went from wild and crazy to like somewhat normal.
Yes.
How did you get to? We're like an hour in. How did we get to PA?
All right. So after things started getting a little weird with Jose, he started wanting to be more romantic with my mom. And my mom was like, no, this isn't what we, had established. It is what it is. So we ended up leaving Virginia, and we moved back to California once more. I think we were over there. And then also at this point too, we moved from La Jolla to Carmel Mountain, another prestigious little area of California. And another fight has erupted, but it's between my aunt and my cousin. And she's chasing him around with a knife and telling him, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. He has already said he's going to kill my mom, me, and my little brother.
Just so much violence.
So much is going on.
And you guys are all, like, as kids, just watching this.
Yeah. I've had so much anxiety since I was 10.
Yeah, just people running around with knives.
Yeah. So, like, that was like...
kicking air conditioning out the window.
Grandma is leading the party on that.
Yeah. So, this was like the final straw. We ended up staying at a neighbor's house for a time being. They really helped us out. Then, again, back at the hotels, and our car got repoed. That was about the
just really
iceberg,
hard.
the tip of the iceberg. And then at that point, we came back to Florida for, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years. At that age, too, I also experienced my first encounter with racism.
Okay.
That was fucking insane. I had a man tell me, it was just, he didn't.
In Florida?
Yeah. It wasn't that he didn't have to say the N-word or anything. It was just the fact that as soon as he saw me, everything changed about him.
Like he was just disgusted by your being.
And then he was like, you'll be swimming in a pool of your own blood, blah, blah, blah. And it was all because I found a bike in the neighborhood. My friends and I found this bike, and a special needs kid ended up taking it from my porch and, took it. And I had seen him, and I was like, dude, that's my bike, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, it's not. And I was just like, no, it's my bike. And I was just trying to explain to him, have my friends, and we were like, yo, it's my bike. I want my bike back, got my bike back. And then he had sent his uncle or whomever to my house. And that
because you were black, you must have stolen that bike. It wasn't yours.
Yep.
That's awful.
Which is interesting. They living down south and everything, like you're not experiencing the racism.
Yeah. It wasn't until I was 13, 14-ish. 15 maybe, I'll say. 15. Yeah. And then that's also too where my mom and I, when I hit puberty, then my mom and I started having a really rocky relationship. And I wouldn't say I was rebellious, but it was a time where things just made sense. And I didn't feel like it was fair for you to treat me a type of way and go along like nothing happened.
Right.
And so I would just speak my mind, speak my truth. And it's very common in a black household, like when kids speak their truth, you're talking against, authority, or you're being defiant. It's just like, no, you just don't like that I called you out, and you just were going to be like, you're being defiant. And that's why I feel like it was, because certain shit didn't make any sense because they'd be like, whatever I say goes. And I'm like, so you're telling me you tell me to go jump off a fucking bridge, I'm supposed to go and do that? No.
Well, I think too, also at the same time, once you, in the metaphorical sense, once you punch the kid in the face the 3 times, you have now found yourself to where you're no longer accepting
Yeah.
anything, right? Which is also a downfall too, right? Because it also becomes I don't know what boundaries are. I don't know where my boundaries are. I just know I don't like this, therefore it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Problem is some of this stuff, right, is like justifiable boundaries. Like,
Right.
you can't do this. Well, I don't want to. Like, I don't like it because I don't want to do it. So now we become rebellious, right?
I could say that too. I was a little rebellious.
Sure.
And I would just do shit.
Well, and he went from watching people run around with knives to now all of a sudden he's supposed to listen to them, like,
Yeah.
Right.
and he's reclaimed his own person.
So now we're 18. Let's jump up there.
Okay, so we moved.
We gotta jump somewhere like
yeah,
that.
that's fine. Another homeless situation in Florida again before we moved back to PA. So my uncle was like, come up here, blah, blah, blah. We'll take care of you. And we end up moving. That was actually 16 when we moved up to PA. So through that time period, there was more trauma. My uncle would physically abuse me as discipline. I've had my fucking... I've had my shit rocked. I thought at one point that my windpipe was broken because he punched me in my throat. And then as I'm trying to breathe to get up, he's just yelling at me, get up, get up, get up. My mom's in the background just watching, letting it happen. And I just, in the back of my head, I was just thinking about a time where she's like, I would never do things to my kids or have things done to my kids that I don't do.
Right.
And the fact that you just stood back there and watched this shit happen was very unbelievable. And I just went down, and it was like 17, I want to say it was 2 weeks before my 18th birthday that I started going on Craigslist and going to the classified ads and just started being fucking wild.
Yeah.
And
You decided that a wild lifestyle was something that you could handle instead of
something,
what your
Instead
uncle
of-
was delivering.
yeah.
And instead of like most of our episodes, most of our guests, us included, we found like heroin, right?
Right.
You found sex as the way to escape, right?
Yeah.
So sex became the addiction.
It really did. And I didn't realize it until I met John, and like I talked about it like I did when I talked about Angela so nonchalantly. He was like looking at me horrified, like, what the fuck? Like, and then
Because you've known him for a very young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I was just on the classified ads, and there was one time, because normally I was never a bottom. So a bottom in classified terms is the female, and the top is the guy, But so this one day I decided I was just in the bottom, and I told the guy, I was just like, listen, don't come at me. Don't do any of that shit. That's just fucking weird. Like, I'm not with that. Like, that's just, don't do it. Cool, everything was copacetic until things happened and they weren't. And
Sure.
It just was like, it was so weird because it was just like, I felt like I lost my power again. And I felt I was violated, and I felt
These are
gross.
strangers on Facebook. Or
Basically,
Craigslist
yeah,
at
we're
that
just
point.
strangers, yeah. And then I just felt like my body just went autopilot, and I was just like laying there again, just like fuck.
So
know?
what do you think it was? Because today I know you as just this brilliant soul. Like, I don't know what it is about being around you, but it makes me feel safe to be around you, and it makes me feel like I can always just be exactly who I am and say exactly what I want to say to you, and there would be no judgment. It would just be acceptance. And if it was wild and crazy, you'd do the whole girl, and you would tell me about
Exactly. I don't know.
So, like,
I
what
feel
happened?
like John happened. John was my saving grace because that man talked me off the bridge, figuratively speaking and literally speaking. He's talked me off of many occasions where I wanted to kill myself. And he's just a happy-go-lucky person, and I could just never understand with all the shit that he's been through too. Like, his mom was a heroin addict, and he's seen people die, and he's helped people shoot up and all types of things. He should be broken, but he's not. And he would just tell me every day, like, listen, dude, like, it could be my last moment and I have to live this. And it's something that we hear all the time.
Right.
But like when you watch somebody living that shit and being like, embodying just who they are and not giving a fuck and just being like, I'm here world, it really inspired me. And I could never understand, like, he's always like, you're so negative, stop being like that. I'm like, dude, I'm a realist. Until I realized, like, realists say that, but are you being real or are you being negative? You know? And I had to slowly realize, like, dude, you put yourself in a lot of, not like my trauma or anything, but like I tried to play the victim in some of my situations, and it's just like, dude, take accountability for that. Own up for who you are. You're an asshole. You fucked up sometimes. You could be a little arrogant, but you're also kind. You're generous. You're a safe person. You would literally give... I always say this to people all the time, like, I'm a bitch, but I'm a bitch that will give you my fucking shirt off my back.
Yeah.
I am. Like, I could be so... I can be a mean person, but it's just my personality. I'm just a little sassy man, you know?
Yeah.
It's just who I am. But I always mean well. And I never let my past ever distort my future. Because after John even said that to me, I was like, you're absolutely fucking right. Like, I didn't even think that I would make it past 18. I didn't. And so, like, my 28th birthday.
Tyler has, like, a similar feeling. My
28th birthday was, like, a full revelation. It was just like, holy shit. Like, I have a little sister. I have a little brother. I have a godson now. I have a niece. I have 3 nephews. I have my music career that I'm starting. And it wasn't even, I didn't even realize that I was a musician all my life until it was just, like, a pivotal moment. And it was just, like... everything hit me all at once, and it was like how they describe, you know, seeing your life before you die. It was like one of those moments where I was just like, I'm really happy to be alive, and I want to share that with people. I want to share the fact that, yes, life is hard. Life is going to always be tough. Finances are always going to be an issue. Friends are going to come and go all the time, but those slivers of beauty that come in between are what we really have to hold on to. And the time's never going to be on our side. So you always have to be like, make the most of it.
Yeah.
Don't wallow in what has happened. It's yesterday for a reason. Today is today. Tomorrow will go on. Just think about what's happening right now. Focus on this. And that's it. I go with the flow. That's what it has to be.
So now you work in the mental health field?
Which was an accident.
It was. I was a housekeeper.
He was our housekeeper.
On the unit.
And he was only a part-time housekeeper. He was a fill-in for when our normal one wasn't there. And when he was there, we would be so excited.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come onto our unit, and I have no shame about saying this because they need to step up their game, honestly. But some people will come into our unit like they're going to get the schizophrenia on them. Like... these people are equally as depressed as you've been in your life. These people have anxiety like you have in your life. And you are 40 seconds and one bad choice from being right in here with us, okay? And honestly, our unit feels much more comfy than the general public, honestly. You know? And so when Nate would come in, he was so genuine with our patients. Or they would say something to him and he'd be like, all right, pop off. Like, you know, and the way he would treat people was just so amazing that we hounded him. So we didn't even have a position open.
Right. So you treated people like people.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Like that's what we're supposed to do. Right? In this world, like we're supposed to just treat people like people. For the most part, right? Like we treat people like people. Like it's wild to me when we hear people, you know, oh, they're crazy. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. And it's like, man, we can't do that. Like we got to treat people like people for the most part.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter if our bathrooms were a mess, right? Because a lot of our employees, and again, no shame, won't clean up stuff that's really gross. And this is real time. These are people's lives. You know what I mean? Right. And they're usually so distorted that time works differently for them. And Nate would show up and clean a bathroom because he could. And he would do it kindly for them. And he would do whatever they needed to do, you know? And like when I would speak with Nate, it doesn't matter how much is dirty or what needs done. These people need taken care of because they deserve it. And that was always my favorite part about you.
So what keeps you going in the mental health field? Like, what do you hope to gain out of it?
It's a pitch
now that
for
you're
you.
here,
It is
now
a
that
pit
you're
stop.
here.
Talk about it. It's
It
a
is
pit stop for you.
That's
but
okay.
I never expected it to be this. I never expected this pit stop, honestly. I never expected to work in the
That's how life
healthcare
works,
field.
man.
Honestly, and it does. And one day I did see that they had a position open, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Dive right into it. Something that you don't even know what to do. And I know I'm great with talking with people, but I didn't know that I would excel.
Mhm.
I mean, like, excel. I just did my yearly review with my boss, and she's had nothing but great things to say about me. I'm late,
Yeah.
but I
The
come
great
into,
ones are.
Amen. I said that, and I laughed about it too with her. And I said, "Listen, that's something that I have been trying to work on is my time management skills."
I've been
And-
late to work every day for 6
but
years.
at least when I come to work, I'm
I'm
not
even late
like
here.
I don't lollygag. I come in there and I'm like, all right, what do I need to do? What's my line? And then I go out there and do what I got to do.
Yeah.
Because I come in, I know I'm gonna be late, so let me just come in here and make sure I got to do what I got to do. But what I gained most from it is seeing people's lives change, and it's the ones. If you know the ones, you know the ones.
Right.
Because
Right.
not all of them, obviously, are going to change. Because we got,
It's unfortunate.
frequent flyers, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I've cried over patients. I've told patients too. You've come
Absolutely.
as a patient, and you've left as my friend because you've changed my life and how I interact with people differently.
That's how you're supposed to be in this field.
That's
Yeah.
Right? Is to remember that
Yeah.
we are just vessels to give our experience. But like I tell my guys all the time, man, I get more from you guys than what you'll ever get from me.
Yeah.
And I don't think I
Honestly.
think they feel like I'm joking. I'm like, no, you guys. But
Absolutely
at
not.
the beginning they did, but now they genuinely feel the love. And like sometimes I feel so like I catch myself saying like when I say goodnight to them, I'll say I love you, and on accident I'm just like,
Sometimes.
oh fuck, because it's just like I have nothing but love to give.
I tell them I love them.
I don't have anything but love. That's
Yeah.
it.
Sometimes
and
that's
I
all they
tell them
need.
too. I tell them too. Like, listen, I don't care about your diagnosis. I don't care about any of that. I care about getting to know you and understanding.
Sorry.
I'm a mess with
By the end of this,
exciting
it's usually falling apart because he's touched it
That's
so
funny.
often.
I just care about where you are right now and what you're trying to do, what goals you're trying to make, and if you're trying to get out of the situation. 'Cause
Yeah.
I tell them too, I'm not one of those people that are going to just go along with what you want. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to make sure your SMART goal is something that is actually attainable
That's
on
right.
this unit. I'm not going to give, I'm
It
not going to
can't be, don't
half-ass
get
you.
eaten by a shark. You are
Exactly.
not getting eaten by a shark.
I said,
here.
I'm going to give you as much as you give me. You're going to give me your ass to kiss, and you're definitely going to get mine to kiss too. I say all the time in morning meeting and daily review, there's going to be
Yeah.
days where you like me. There's going to be days where you don't like me. But that's okay.
Because we're trying to teach them how to be human, so we have to
So-
act human for them to see that.
Exactly.
So what is your? So we're gonna wrap this up,
Yeah.
right? So what
Long
is the overall message that you want everybody that's listening?
Mhm.
What do you want to say to them?
All right. This is to y'all. Don't let your past define you because it's back there for a reason. Use it as a lesson learned. Use it as motivation. Use it as something to fuel you for your future, whatever it may hold, because you never know what tomorrow may bring. Dude, I was on TV before. I never knew I was going to be on TV. You never know what life may bring. Don't let it distort what could be your blessings. And that's really all it is, because I blocked myself from a lot of things that I could have had early on because I was so stuck with being in the past.
Yeah.
Amen.
So now you're using music as a coping skill going forward. Do you
Yeah.
have like a website you want to?
Not necessarily a
something.
website, but if
Okay.
you look me up, N3D, on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, I think on Instagram it's the only N3D __. But yeah, I'm about to be coming out with some new music, and it's gonna be really cool. I'm
What
really
genre?
excited. And it's so hard to
The Nate genre. He
and
is
that's
a genre.
just what it is. It's just me. I rap and I sing, but I feel like the best way to put it is like I'm a one man Linkin Park, and I'm on like trap beats or hip hop beats. Well, not necessarily
Can I
trap
get,
beats, but
so I'm
like
gonna get a little bit of Jadakiss sprinkled in there.
I'm very poetic. You could say for sure. I'm very, very poetic.
All right.
So I'm not like saying bullshit. Like I'm actually saying things, and
Yeah.
you know,
You are very poetic when you speak.
Well,
so
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah.
So I do want to say to everybody that's watching. So if you are, if you've made it this far, man, because this.
Hey, our last one was 116. We're doing good.
So, yeah. Well, I do want to say that if you have been a victim of sexual assault, if you have been sexually abused in any way, shape, or form, you can call the national number, which is 1-800-656-4673. They will get you the help that you need and get everything aligned for you. So if you have been or are currently experiencing some form of sexual assault, please don't be silent, right? Allow your voice to speak. Tell someone, speak about it so that we can overcome it. If you have been a victim of it, please seek counseling help for that so that we can overcome that and heal from that trauma. So I'm going to throw that out there because it's very important that we say that, if not for nothing. You guys could have been anywhere in the world today, so you chose to be here with us, and for that, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Keep happy hour happy.
And let's wrap it up. Right? So share, subscribe, send this to your friends, and then tell them to send it to their friends, and so on and so on. Keep coming back, man. We hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.